Thank you. Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We are out here with Arwen today and chickens. Several chickens. Many chickens. And Shadowfax. And today we're talking about the goat, not the horse. So stop following me. Anyway, today we are going to talk about how, now that you've figured out you want a goat and you've done your research on how to look after a goat, how do you pick a goat? Okay, the starting... Thank you. The starting spot for picking your goat needs to be figuring out exactly what you want. Okay, and that can be a little bit tricky because what you want... What you want can change. So sit down and start by making a list of needs and wants. And needs can be anything. Okay? And I mean anything. You do not have to limit yourself when it comes to needs. So if you have your heart set on a little white goat, you can put down white as one of your criteria, something you need, something you're not willing to compromise on. Will that limit your selection? Sure. Anytime you make a list of needs and wants, you are going to be limiting your selection. But if you want a little white goat, put white as one of your needs. So divide your list into needs and wants. Needs are things you absolutely will not compromise on. Okay? And they can be, like I said, anything. You're not going in there. No. Also chickens. But anything you want. So whatever it is that you're not going to compromise on, put that on your needs list. Everything else goes on your wants list. You would like to have this, but if you don't, that's okay. So it's really important to divide your list into those two things, and you're going to focus on your needs. So your needs can be anything. They could be purpose. Maybe you want a milking goat. You're not going to compromise on that. Maybe, like I said, you want a certain color. Maybe you absolutely want a goat with horns, or maybe you want a goat like Arwen that is polled, meaning naturally has no horns. These things might really matter to you. Okay? So it's important to make a list. Okay? Make your list. What do you want? What will you not give up? You want to consider your climate when you're making your list. Some breeds are more hardy and can handle harsh climates, and some need more temperate climates. Make sure you know the answer to what kind of climate can each breed handle before you go goat shopping. Some goats are really flighty. If you have a really flighty breed, you need better fencing. So Arwen's not flighty at all, so we don't even contain her. She's in here right now, but she wanders around the whole property. She doesn't care. Sometimes she's up by the garage, sometimes she's out in the path. Chickens. So there's a whole lot of different types of goat that are not as flighty. And there are some types that are really flighty, and if they get out of your pen, you're going to have a hard time catching them. So make sure you know whether or not having a goat that... chewing on your shirt. Goats chew on your shirt, by the way. But make sure you know whether or not a flighty goat is something you can handle. Know what your purpose is. So if you're looking for cart goats, for example, you don't want breeds that are small because they can't pull your carts. If you want milking goats, you definitely want to make sure you have a milking breed. Hi, Shadowfax. Hi. But you definitely want to make sure you have a milking breed, because milking breeds are quite specific. They give more milk. So if that's what you're looking for, make sure that you write that down. You really just need to define what you're going to do with your goat. Do you need milking goats? Do you need meat goats? Do you just want a friend? And also think about what's available in your area. Because are you willing to travel 8 hours to pick up a goat? Maybe, maybe not. I want Pygoras, for example. They are the Pygmy Angora mix. So they're a smaller breed that still has the Angora fiber. These are not readily available in my area. So we are planning sometime next year. We are planning, when we get to our spot on the wait list from the breeder, we are planning to drive 7 hours there and 7 hours back to get 1 or 2 goats. So we just have to narrow down, do we want 1, do we want 2, do we want a breeding pair, do we want 2 girls, do we want 2 boys? We just have to, narrow down what we want from the breeder, and when our turn comes up, we will make sure we drive there. But if you're not willing to drive that far, you are going to have to consider what is available in your area. That's important. Your wants are negotiable. Your needs are not. And don't let anybody tell you, well, you don't need that. Okay? It's okay to be really specific. In fact, the more specific you are, the less disappointed you will be. The more specific you are, the fewer goats end up needing rehoming because they weren't exactly what you wanted. Make sure your goat is exactly what you want before you bring her home. Okay, you want to make sure you absolutely have these picture-perfect goats. And to do that, you need to know what you want. You need to know what you're after. It's really important that your goat eats your shirt. So, just make sure that you're very clear on what you want and you know what is negotiable and what's not negotiable. Because one of the worst things is if you bring home that perfect animal and it turns out not to be perfect because you rushed it. Because you compromised on something you should not have compromised on. And instead of getting the goat you needed, you settled for something else. All goats are wonderful. Not all goats are meant for all people. So just make sure you have that list. Differentiate between your wants and your needs. Know what you absolutely should have as non-negotiable. Anyway, that is about it for us here today at Andersen Acres. We'll see you tomorrow.